Welcome back to the channel. This is a disgusting sink that looks like it was used to dispose of body parts. This is the quote-unquote faucet that was there before, and here is where it snapped off of the piping. So today we're going to replace it with this actual laundry faucet and try to make this look a little less like garbage. Alright, so this sink is in the basement of my house. It has looked like this since I moved in, and this collection of pipes and fittings is the old quote-unquote faucet. As you can see, it articulated to the sides by using this threaded coupler, so unsurprisingly it leaked horribly out of that one location, and the second time I went to use this entire corroded piece of pipe snapped off. But you know what? Now I own this house and I'd like to use this sink for projects without dirtying my entire bathroom or kitchen, so I guess we're gonna have to fix it. So this is the faucet that I'm going to be installing. This is a typical laundry faucet. These are very durable and absolutely perfect for an application like this. And obviously we'll need to do a little plumbing as well to get this fixed. So I've got this pipe cutter, and then we're also going to need some stuff to solder the new lines in, including some water-soluble flux, some lead-free solder, some sandpaper to clean off the joints, and an acid brush to apply the flux with. And I've got this big old thing of MAP gas that is going to melt the solder, otherwise it's probably not going to seal real well if you just wrap it around the perimeter. And this last part should be exceptionally obvious, but if you're putting in new copper pipe, that means you have to have a new piece of copper pipe, as well as a number of fittings to make the old pipe line up to where the new pipe needs to be. And with all that said, we're going to get started by turning off the water supply. Otherwise, when you cut open these pipes, they're going to be filled with water, and that is going to go everywhere. And I would really prefer for my basement to not turn into waterfront property. And this is simple enough to do for both the hot and the cold side. You're going to follow the supply line up and then back towards where it comes into the house, either from your water heater or from your water main, either from the well or the city itself. And when you get to the first valve, you're going to want to turn that clockwise until it is fully closed. And repeating the same thing here on the other side, and we're just going to ignore that that's dripping water. That's going to be a problem for another day. And if you did this properly, you should be able to open up these two valves, and the only amount of water that should come out is anything that would be in the pipes between those shutoff valves and these little faucet knobs down here. After that, I'm going to be opening up the new laundry faucet. And there's two things we have to figure out. One is how it's going to connect to the pipes above, and two, how it's going to connect to the board below so that this thing isn't free floating in space, because that's probably a code violation somehow. And after playing with it for about 2 seconds, you'll see that the backsplash, which is pretty much just like a 1x4 board, that is absolutely not going to be thick enough to hold the new faucet, so we're going to have to figure something out with that. But before I worry too much about getting it permanently attached, we first have to free up the space that it's going to be in, and that means removing these old valves, starting by removing the clamps that are holding these pipes in place. And for most people, a screwdriver is probably the best way to unscrew the brackets, but when your home was the rental unit special for the better part of a decade, that means you have enough paint to coat an entire aircraft carrier over the head of about 2 screws, which luckily is still no match for a hammer and chisel, which seems to get these out just fine. And side note, it's okay to completely destroy this piping because we know that we're not reusing this with the new faucet that we have. If you were replacing only the stem in the middle in this situation, you would probably not want to destroy the lines going in on the left and the right side, but that said, with a little more hammering, I was finally able to get this free, and we are ready to move on to the next step, which is of course prying these pipes off the wall far enough that I can get the pipe cutter around them, only to quickly realize that for some reason it was also taking the mirror with it, and that I almost dropped it on my face. And if you have that same problem at home, well, abracadabra, now it's gone. But anyhow, now I'm ready to make those initial cuts on both the hot and cold supply line pipes, and what I did off camera was check where this new faucet would be sitting, and for now I'm cutting those lengths so they're just about flush with the top of where that faucet's going to be. This is just our starting point. It's very easy to cut off more pipe if we need to. It's a lot harder to add more pieces of pipe back on, especially if they're really short stubby pieces. That gets very annoying very quickly. And the reason it makes no sense to have a perfect final cut right now is because we don't know exactly how that faucet is going to sit, which means our next step is to create a mounting block that this thing can actually sit on. As I already said, this backsplash here is 1 inch thick. It is not thick enough for this faucet to sit on, but I do have this scrap piece of 2x4 that is absolutely perfect for this application, and what I'll be doing is pre-drilling a few holes that allow me to screw this down and into the wood surface both behind and below it, as well as allowing me to screw the faucet into the top of it once we get to that point. And one thing I want to mention is that they do sell pretty versions of these mounting blocks. You can typically get them for under $10 at this point, so if you're doing this in like an actual laundry room and not just a project space in your basement, it's probably worth the money to have have one of these that looks a lot nicer. However, this of course happened to me during COVID when prices were out of control and the cheapest mounting blocks were somewhere in the $30 range. So for this application, paying $30 for what could be replaced by a scrap piece of 2x4 really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyhow, I'm using this big drill bit. I'm going to pre-drill to a known depth, and then these cabinet screws are going to hold this thing down into the wood blocks that are going to be below it. And I used painter's tape to mark the depth of the drill, and that way I knew that once the tape had hit the top of this block, that this drill had gone deep enough and that my two holes were going to go to about the same depth. So this is my expertly crafted 2x4 mounting block. Like I said, the screws are going to go through these top holes here into this wood panel around the back of the sink. But before I permanently attach all of that, I'm going to do a quick dry fit with the new faucet sitting on top, just to get a better idea of how these old pipes are going to line up prior to me permanently attaching everything. As you can probably tell on this new laundry faucet, the two inlets for both the hot and the cold line go directly into that brass body, which means the supply pipe for both the hot and the cold side have to line up with those two vertical inlets. But as you can see here, the old pipes are spaced out a lot wider and a couple inches farther back than where these new inlets are. That means in order to not bend or strain the pipes to hit these new locations, we'll probably have to install a few angled adapters which will point this thing outward from the wall and then inwards towards where this faucet is. But on top of that, it has to not obstruct the location of these two new handles, because if it does, then we won't be able to open or close this all of the way, and that kind of defeats the entire purpose of a sink. So with all those considerations in mind, I figured out where I had to do the final cuts on these two supply pipes. It was a couple inches higher than where I had previously, and both the hot and the cold side were going to be cut at the same height. And based on the fittings I had available, I was going to use two 90-degree elbows. The first one was going to take that vertical run, angle the pipe inwards and over where the new supply would have to go in, then another 90-degree elbow to send it back straight down vertically. And the reason I cut the old pipe several inches higher is, again, I didn't want anything to interfere with those new faucet handles. So having those elbows set up a few inches above this faucet would give us not only clearance for the faucet handles, but also whoever's hand happens to be turning them. Otherwise, I could have put those elbows pretty much where I cut them on the first time. It probably would have lined up okay, but it would have been annoying every single time you tried to use this. And now the only things that are really left are to prep the copper pipe and fittings so those can be soldered, permanently attaching my beautiful 2x4 mounting block, as well as attaching the new faucet on top of it. And there are plenty of very good and detailed videos on how to solder copper piping, so if you don't know how to do it, I really recommend researching those on your own. I think this is actually one of the first times ever that I soldered copper pipes on my own. The internet was pretty much my only resource, and as you'll see in a minute, these came out pretty good. And there's no way that I can explain this that is better than the videos that are already out there. But the two most helpful things that I determined were, number one, that cleanliness is absolutely paramount to having a successful solder joint. So really take your time either with the pipe cleaner or the sandpaper to try to clean up the fittings in the pipe itself. And number two, I did these back-to-back elbows in a very short run. If you're torching one joint that's directly next to another, there's no way to heat up one without also getting the other one hot. What that also means is that if you're trying to hold it, even with gloves on, that heat is going to transfer very quickly to your hand because it's not that far away. So the first thing I did was actually solder it on the end of a much longer pipe, then cut off the fitting with that little nub of pipe on it, then solder on the second fitting. And example number two, I dry fit everything onto the old pipes and saw how everything lined up and how much pipe I needed to go from there to the new faucet. Once I cut that new length of pipe, I pretty much did the same thing where I held the old double elbow using a very long piece of pipe, then soldered in that roughly 6 or 7 inch piece that would be going into the faucet in a minute. And by some miracle, this is probably the only time I will ever get to say this in my life, I somehow did not burn myself while soldering any of these. But that might have been beginner's luck, because I've done 4 more projects since then, and every single time I got burned on those. But be careful and try not to do anything too stupid. And speaking about not doing stupid things, when you're soldering on the final piece that's going to go into the faucet, there is a threaded nut that goes over it that helps clamp it down and into place. Make sure that nut goes on the pipe before you solder that end piece in place, especially if there is a double elbow overhead that would not allow that nut to pass under any other circumstances. But after setting up 2 of these for the hot and the cold side supply, I then fitted them in place, loosely tightened the nut, and soldered the top part of my contraption into the existing piping after making sure everything lined up. And after repeating that on both sides, I then checked my camera to realize the battery died and I didn't get any of that footage, but anyhow, this is how it looks after it's installed, and I think honestly that that's pretty good. So now that I am very happy with this placement, I pulled the base of that faucet off and I started installing that stem. And once that stem was fastened down, I put the entire faucet back on my beautiful mounting block with the pipe slid in overhead, and finally screwed the mounting block and the faucet on top of it into their permanent resting resting places. And now with the end finally in sight, the next step is going to be to really work those hot nuts. And also the cold side. Really what I'm saying here is just tighten both of them, otherwise they're going to leak and that's not good. And once you do, make sure that you turn those faucets back to the closed position, because our next step is going to be to leak check this, which means going back up the supply piping to those valves we closed at the start of this video, and only one side at a time, slowly reopening them. And I say the word slowly because if it's going to leak, you're going to find it out pretty quick. As you see on this first one, I turned the valve and there's not really an issue, but going to the other side and opening this valve, you're going to hear it pretty much the second this valve opens. And as you can see, the leak isn't exactly difficult to detect. So if that happens to you, just close the valve again and it'll shut the water back off. There's no need to panic, it's just water, and at least from a legal perspective, it's water that's technically safe to drink. And just to be extra safe, it doesn't hurt to turn off the supply valve on both sides. That's what I'm doing here. And by opening both of those handles back up after those valves are shut, that will allow any water that was in that pipe to drain back out. And if the water coming out looks absolutely disgusting at first, like it does here, that's not a cause for concern. That's just some of the flux or residue from the manufacturing process getting rinsed out. Now what you're going to have to do at this point is going to be completely dependent on the type of leak that you have. If you have a bad solder joint, for example, you're going to have to disassemble and then resolder that joint. But for me, the leak was at the threaded fitting from where the supply pipe goes directly into the faucet. So I started disassembling that and quickly realized that it wasn't actually the threaded portion that was the problem, it was the solder joint at the bottom of the supply pipe, which of course is the more obnoxious of the two issues to fix. So I heated this bad boy back up and popped that little joint off of the end of it, played a quick game of hot potato before deciding to use a screwdriver to hold this instead of burning my fingers with it. And oh yeah, the other side still has water connected, so I just used that to turn it off, because you know, why not? When life gives you lemons, sometimes you just gotta ruin a solder joint. And after giving that a few minutes to cool down, we are now ready for round 2 of attempting to solder, following the classic steps of dry it, clean it, flux it, bop it, heat it, but don't hold it with your bare fingers, hold it with pliers because you're gonna get burnt otherwise. And obviously put the solder in too, because you know, that's kind of the thing that matters here. But with all that completed, I reinserted the supply line into the faucet and tightened it back down with the nut, and upon testing again, realized that I still have a leak in the exact same place. But this time I realize it's because I'm an idiot, because there is a rubber O-ring that is supposed to sit between the faucet and the supply pipe. That's what really creates the water seal in that threaded interface, and when you're soldering that, you have to pull it out so it doesn't get overheated and either break or stretch and become the wrong size or become completely cooked and brittle, all of which will lead to it failing. But anyhow, I properly removed it. I did not put it back in. I totally forgot to do that, and it was sitting on the counter in front of me. Bringing us finally to attempt number 3, where we were leak-free, because apparently third time is the charm. And there you have it, folks. For roughly $120 in about 2 hours of time, I've got this shiny new faucet that's working with no leaks on top of my old crusty murder sink. We replaced this absolute disgusting looking abomination, and I no longer have to listen to the sound of water dripping into the sink and echoing through my house at 3 o'clock in the morning, which somehow always seems to wake up my dogs, who need to immediately wake up me as well. So anyhow, I hope this was helpful. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.